This video is brought to you by Xavi's new Star Trek merch line. So here we are at the end of Star Trek Picard Season 1. After all the build-up and promise of the previous 8 episodes, did it stick the landing, or flounder embarrassingly? I have to say that overall, Et in Cardia Ego Part 1 was a bit messy for me and felt very disjointed at times. It opened strong with a look at the much talked about android homeworld, and I really love the design of this world and its people. The expectation of course is a big Blade Runner-esque city and the like, but going for a more TOS feeling world of nature and peace was a welcome surprise. The gold colouring of the androids themselves and their stark red robes was really memorable and distinctive. Isa Briones also continues to prove what a talented actress she is with yet another character she has to play in Sutra. It was also nice to see Brent Spiner once again, but it's with his appearance the writing started to get a bit contrived in this episode. I feel like we could have done with 11 or 12 episodes this season to really let several of these big plot developments that we get here get fully fleshed out. The mind meld revealing some kind of eldritch alliance of artificial life forms is a cool idea, but it feels a bit sudden the way they're introduced. Perhaps if hints of this idea had been dropped earlier, it would have felt more like a big payoff rather than a sharp left turn. I also feel like the development for much of the supporting cast was really rushed. Raffi telling Picard she loves him felt really awkward because we haven't seen them interact a whole lot. While they do have a rich history, we've only been told this rather than shown it. Much of Raffi's time this season has been spent with Rios. Rios and Jurati's relationship also suffers from the clunky pacing. While they did have a fling earlier, it seemed like an impromptu decision made by Jurati to help deal with the feelings she had at the time. And while Rios is a nice guy, their apparent desire to pursue a relationship together felt quite sudden. It's as if we got the beginning and end of an arc, but not the middle. The pacing also made the impact of Hugh's death sort of peter out. All we get from Picard after he finds this out is a quick, "Poor Hugh." And I just think, dude, you guys were hugging a few episodes ago. It just felt like the episode was in such a rush to get to the next thing that it needed to tie off Hugh's death really quickly and then move on. I don't think it was bad, but it was clunky and awkward at times and hurt the impact of several plot developments. Luckily, Part 2 was able to remedy some of these issues. But first, a word from this video's sponsor. This video is brought to you by a new Star Trek merch line now available at Xavi.com. A slew of brand new, very cool designs to satiate your Star Trek itch. I myself really like this Section 31-esque jumper, which I was kindly gifted with. It's got a really nice embroidered design, one of many really cool designs in this range, and is pretty cozy for these winter months. Click the link below and use the promo code BATTLE20 for 20% off the Star Trek range, or the code BATTLE10 for 10% off the site-wide items. Thank you once again to Xavi for sponsoring this video, and now back to Star Trek Picard. Part 2 was a much stronger follow-up and wasn't as rushed as the preceding episode. Perhaps if we had an extra episode of the crew on the android world before this 2-part finale, the build-up would have been a bit cleaner, but either way this finale did feel like a better payoff. Much like the finale of Discovery Season 2, a lot of this episode is dedicated to following several different lines of action, and they're really well done for the most part. 7 of 9 going toe-to-toe with Narissa was awesome and badass. Peyton List has done a terrific job as one of the season's primary villains, and to see 7 kick her to the bottom of the cube she once controlled was really cathartic. Picard and Jurati zipping through the space battle in orbit was also really cool. I really like the idea of the Orchids as a planetary defense, and the Romulan ships blasting them to pieces lent some much needed spectacle and eye candy. The humour around Picard struggling to use Rios' interface was also super enjoyable. However, the thread which I felt was weaker was Rios, Raffi, Narek and Elnor trying to attack the beacon on the ground. It's not that it was badly staged or anything, but toward the third act of the episode, for some reason the script seemed to forget all about Narek. He's tackled to the ground and that's the last we see of him. No parting words with Soji, no scene where he finds out about his sister's death. It's kinda strange. But Riker warping in with a fleet of brand spanking new Starfleet vessels was a fist pump worthy moment, even if it was spoiled for me on Twitter. Again, just stay off Twitter, Rowan. I'm also a sucker for Lovecraftian cosmic horror, so giant robot space tentacles coming through a blood-red portal gets a thumbs up from me. But like I said, I wish we had the implications of these mysterious artificial life forms fleshed out a bit more. The falling action of the third act also felt a bit awkward to me as well, because it's super obvious Picard is going to get put inside the artificial body Soong was building this whole time. And because it's obvious, the scenes of Rios, 7, Raffi and Elnor mourning Picard's death fell a bit flat. However, what didn't fall flat was Data's absolutely beautiful send-off. Seeing Brent Spiner in the iconic role one last time and the way his character finally passed away had me on the brink of tears. peacefully growing old with his friend at his side, at last fulfilling his goal of becoming human, all set to a wonderful cover of Blue Sky sung by Isa Briones herself, more than made up for the shortcomings of the finale and Data's original death in Nemesis. So ultimately, did it suck? I don't think so, but it did have some issues. The real height of the season was episodes 6, 7, and 8 for me. But while the plotting became a bit messy in this two-parter, the performances from all the cast, the cathartic payoffs, and yeah, that final scene from Data were simply engrossing and heartfelt enough to make up for the places it could have improved. I may re-watch this whole season again to make a full review of the season, but for now, I thoroughly enjoyed Star Trek Picard. I think it's a solid addition to the Star Trek franchise, and it's been awesome to see the iconic character back on our screens again. Really looking forward to Season 2, and looking forward to more Star Trek in general. Justin Madsen asks, who is the better politician, Christian Avasarala or Laura Roslin? Both are truly terrific characters, but I think Roslin is the better politician. Neither are perfect, of course. Avasarala is a master manipulator and clearly relishes her own power, and Roslin literally rigged an election. However, Roslin demonstrates an ability to really negotiate well with people. She's measured and tempered when needed, but also a solid wartime leader. Avasarala, on the other hand, is more single-minded and a bit arrogant. She doesn't want to waste time convincing people she's right, because she's already convinced herself she's right. If she were a military commander, I reckon she would excel, but as a democratically elected official, it's easy to see why Nancy Gao was able to unseat her. Thank you for watching. If you like my videos, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay up to date on all my new uploads. Over on my Patreon, you can see videos early. Speaking of which, I'd like to quickly thank all of my patrons who are now appearing on screen. Have a good one, and as always, live long and prosper.